Here we are, it is now December 5th, we are now just 15 days away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, and a lot of fans out there have been very much on edge with exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to represent many of the characters in this movie and utilize many of the different aspects of Episode 9, and how it's all going to really fit together into the prequels, the originals, and even Star Wars Legends material that is now going to be made canon. Now, the one thing, alright, that I have actually had a problem with in many Hollywood movies is pushing identity politics ahead of storytelling. And when we look at that concept, like I say, I want to be very clear, in no way, shape, or form am I against the lbgtq community. But when you push identity politics, past storytelling, that's when I have a problem with a franchise or a movie that a director and or a writer is actually developing. So I want to go over what Vanity Fair actually had posted today, where it states Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker might have a queer character but not Poe or Finn. So in the article it states, Finn and Poe might always be the Star Wars couple that never was, but The Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams has hinted that even if Oscar Isaac and John Boyega never hook up on screen, queer representation could be on the way. That might not be enough to sate the fans who have clamored for years to just let Poe and Finn hook up, but hey, it's something right. During an interview with Variety, J.J. Abrams said it was important to him, while casting his Star Wars films, to make sure the film's universe looked more the way the world looks than not, and in the case of the LBGT community, it was important to me that people would go see this movie and feel that they are being represented in the film. The director naturally played coy when Variety asked if that meant the upcoming film would include a queer character, but did remark, J.J. Abrams states, I will say I'm giving away nothing about what happens in the movie, but I did just say what I just said. So, the article goes on to state, when Variety spoke with Isaac, he repeated his enthusiasm for the idea of letting Poe and Finn's relationship cross into more explicitly romantic territory. Nothing that he had natural chemistry with Boyega from day one. He states, I remember it was an audition and the two of us just, did the first scene back to back, butt to butt. Just doing the scene together, practicing in that room, Isaac said. Immediately, all kind of artifice, everything just collapsed. There was an intimacy that was just there. Personally, I kind of had hoped and wished that maybe that would have been taken further in the other films, but I don't have control over that. Some fans have been clamoring for a queer Star Wars character for years, largely to no avail. Donald Glover, who starred as Lando Calrissian in Solo: A Star Wars Story, offered the extra textual note that his character was queer by asking in an interview, he states, how can you not be pansexual in space? But within the film itself, there was no indication that his character was anything but heterosexual. Now, going on through the article, it states, given Abrams' tease, the question becomes exactly how robust a role a potential queer character might play in The Rise of Skywalker. Will this be an exclusively gay moment situation, or will there actually be an interesting arc at play? Especially given the fact that Poe and Finn were right there after all along. It's hard to blame anyone tempering their expectations. Still, the world of Star Wars is no stranger to shipping. One of the most popular yet polarizing pairings fans have hoped in recent years is Daisy Ridley's Rey and Adam Driver's Kylo Ren. And let's not forget that Luke and Leia seemed destined for romance before we found out they were siblings. Whoops. The way Abrams sees it, Poe and Finn's relationship goes far deeper than a romantic relationship, as he puts it to Variety. It is a deep bond, he says, that these two have, not just because of the sort of trial by fire in which they meet, or in which they met, but also because of their willingness to be as intimate as they are, as afraid as they are, as unsure as they are, and still be bold, and still be daring and brave. Still, it's hard to argue with anyone who wishes they would just kiss already. So, I want to talk about the woke culture in Hollywood. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you guys might not know, but I do have a problem with identity politics being pushed past storytelling. I don't have a problem with the LBGT community at all. This is not me hating on the community in any way, shape, or form. I want to make that clear. But when you put that ahead of storytelling, and you kind of just do it for the sake of doing it to push your agenda, that's when I have a very big problem with these Hollywood movies out there. Terminator Dark Fate was a prime example for that reason as to why I had an issue with that movie, and maybe I'll talk about that in the future. That's up to you guys. But one thing I will say is that this particular movie, J.J. Abrams just said that there will be, a woke aspect in Star Wars Episode 9. As he said in the beginning of the article with Variety. Now, once again, I just want to be clear. I'm not against, people who are gay, who are, lesbian or bisexual or whatever. But I will say that when you push your identity politics in a Star Wars movie or any kind of movie ahead of storytelling, that's when it ruins the experience. That's when you lose the idea of telling a good story because you're just pushing your agenda for the sake of pushing your agenda. If they want to do, this thing by pushing an agenda, make a documentary about it or something around those lines. I think that when we look at Episode 9, this is Star Wars, they shouldn't be focusing on everything related to, the wokeness and everything related to what J.J. Abrams wants to do here. The rise of Wokewalker is what I'll call it for now. It seems like J.J. Abrams is just more focused on this than proper storytelling. We've been going over some of the decisions that Disney and Lucasfilm have been making, for Episode 9, and so far a lot of those decisions didn't really seem so right for Disney and Lucasfilm. They cut out a lot of scenes, they dwindled down the scenes of Palpatine to focus more on the lesser-known characters like Zori Bliss and Rose Tico and all these different characters to focus more on them rather than Palpatine, which is beyond my belief. It just makes no sense at all whatsoever. So, I'm going to link this article. I want you guys to go ahead and check it out by Variety. Again, if you guys are tuning in just right now, if you're skipping through the video, like I say, I'm not against the LBGTQ community, but what I am against is identity politics past storytelling. I want to make that clear, is that that's when I have a problem with these Star Wars movies, and especially with, other Hollywood movies out there. There are so many examples like Ghostbusters 2016, or, Terminator Dark Fate. I mean, the list goes on, and I think that there really needs to be a pushback to how it was years ago where they were focused more on storytelling rather than pushing agendas in an actual story. So, with that being said, it's a very interesting article of what J.J. Abrams stated in here. How he states in the article, how he says, looked more the way the world looks than not, and in the case of the LBGT community, it was important to me that people who go to see this movie feel that they're being represented in the film. Now, that's the thing about this, is that this is yet again J.J. Abrams. You guys may recall that people who hated The Last Jedi, he stated that people who hated The Last Jedi are just misogynists and people who hate women, which isn't the truth at all. It's not the truth at all. And I will say that I'm not a misogynist. I'm just against, having the concept of a film company like Disney and or Lucasfilm, whatever have you, just giving the concept of all the power to a woman with no explanation of that power and so on and so forth, and just kind of just doing that. That's my only problem with this. So that was the one statement by J.J. Abrams that bothered a lot of people a couple of years ago, you guys may recall. But that's the article, guys. I just wanted to talk about this because I gotta be honest with you. I have to be honest. And when something is bothering me, I have to be honest. This is something that just doesn't really fit Star Wars. Pushing agendas, pushing identity politics, past storytelling, and just kind of not really, really paying too much attention to everything that you really want to do. Do I think it's going to be as direct as he's making it out to be? I don't know. This could just be, him playing coy. Again, we don't know that. But this is exactly what it seems to be, is that this movie is going to be woke to the max, like other Hollywood films out there have been lately, and that's usually what ruins a movie. It ruins the experience. I think that when we look at, people who, enjoy everything related to great storytelling, that's all that matters. And I think if you focus primarily on that, that's when a movie is more rich and more gold. So that's the one thing I just wanted to talk about this morning, is that, this is a very complex article to discuss. I know some people out there may have a problem with this, and some people may not have a problem with this. If you guys don't have a problem with this is perfectly fine. I'm just expressing my own opinion and my honest thoughts. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
to moon, we hear them once again.